Have you ever sat down to do work, but suddenly you find yourself cleaning your room, scrolling on TikTok, or making a snack you didn't even need? Let's be honest, we all procrastinate. But why? Hey everyone, my name is Kia and welcome to the Kia Effect. I created this channel so I can help students excel, whether I can help them understand why they procrastinate and go through the psychology, or just help them in any other way possible. In this video, I want to discuss the psychology behind why some people are gym goers, are really active, passionate, but some people are labeled as lazy. Is it really laziness or is it just a label? And how we can just easily change that? Let's begin with the marshmallow test. In 1960s, psychologist Walter Mischel created this really interesting study, and really cute too. You have a small kid in a room, they give them a marshmallow, and we'll ask them, if you can wait for 15 minutes and not eating the marshmallow, we're gonna come back and we'll give you more marshmallows. We'll give you 2 marshmallows. So they leave the kid in the room and they come back to see if the kid has resisted the urge to eat the marshmallow. The study became a symbol of laziness and self-control. Many people argued humans in general are born lazy or are born active, and this is something that is fixed into our adulthood. But is it the complete story? Is that it? Or is there something we're missing about laziness? The other term that often comes up when we are talking about who is becoming a successful person is IQ. Again, a lot of our perception coming from those great psychologists who've done a lot of work. One of them is Louis Terman. He done a really long period study where he followed kids who've done IQ tests for 40 years. And he could see that kids who have higher IQ, they have a higher possibility of having better jobs, being more successful in the future. He concluded all his results and experiment in his book, which is called Genetic Studies of Genius. But what's really often missing, this book had a second cover. The cover was actually written by Terman's assistant, Catherine Cox Miles. And the book is called The Early Mental Traits of 300 Geniuses. So what this book did, what Miles has done, was that she could find another trait that is also really present, evident in all these people who've been really successful. And that trait was being hardworking. IQ was not the complete answer. Hardworking was actually a trait that is highly more connected to who is more successful. But what's really interesting is that the first cover of the book is found anywhere you look for. Just search online right now, or go to a nearest bookstore and ask for this book. As soon as you want to get your hand on the second book, no bookstores seem to have it, or it's not really as available online. Let's also talk about another groundbreaking work. Anders Ericsson had a really interesting study where he studied people who are top in their field and studied what is causing these people to be the toppest, the best in their field. And he found that hard work and deliberate practice were the key. His study really challenged the idea that intelligence alone leads to success. So I've been just keep saying be hardworking, but it's not as easy. There's so much more to it. Like how can you just transform and become hardworking all of a sudden? We often romanticize genius, saying Michael Jordan was born to become the best basketball player. But is it true? A really fascinating work was done by Chia-Jung Tsay, and excuse if I'm not pronouncing it correct. What she did was really interesting. She recorded the same track of music and showed it to different people. To some group of people, she said that this piece is played by a child who's a genius, who was born to play piano. And to the other group, she showed the song and said that this was played by a person who had practiced for days and days to complete this piece. Then she asked, what do you think about this piece and what would you rate it? People gave a significantly more score to the piece that they thought a kid who's talented played it. It really shows that how we are always looking for things that are easy and we just want to skip over the part that we are practicing. Again, watching movies, we always would see that the whole movie is about only the part that the person is weak and the part that the person becomes strong. But it never really shows us in detail what is the part that the person is practicing, doing a lot of hard work. That's the same reason I really loved the Kung Fu Panda movie, because it really showed the part that the panda is practicing to improve his Kung Fu. Just to also talk about this bias again, Matthew Tsay in his book, The Bounce, is first talking about himself, saying that I was a table tennis champion. I was a kid, could perform not anyone else in my school. And when I was only 10, I had high speed in the whole area. What happened next was, he is explaining that there are a lot of things missing. For example, for some really random reason, when I was a kid, my dad just decided to buy a tennis table. I had a brother, so he would always play with me. See, these are all those parts that are missing from stories, and we just jump into conclusions saying this person in history was a great person. He was born to be a champion. He was born to be a god. So really, this shifting the mindset is something that is always important for us to overcome our biases. So whenever we want to combat laziness, we always talk about effort. There are two types of effort: the physical effort, which we could easily measure by measuring your lactate in your blood or measuring your heart rate. These are all things that correlate with physical effort. But then there is cognitive effort. Cognitive effort, same as physical effort, is using the same criteria and using the same motivation and passion. We still don't know. I don't think anyone knows yet. But what we do know about cognitive effort is psychology of motivation. So now let's get a bit more practical. We want to talk about the psychology of effort and hard working. Let's talk about psychology of motivation. There are 5 reasons and 5 physiological reasons behind us being lazy or being hardworking. The first one is immediate reward sensitivity. This is basically how would you feel right now if you are doing something. For example, if you complete a task, how much dopamine your brain will reward you with so you feel good. For example, some people might study for many hours and complete tasks, but would get no feeling. But some people are actually getting a high of dopamine when they are studying and finishing a task. People who are getting the rush in dopamine being rewarded for the task they're doing, and they're more likely to continue the task and be hardworking. So this is one component in cognitive effort, but this is not the sole component. Second one is anticipatory pleasure. And this is how much do you anticipate to get a pleasure? Like when you want to start a task, do you predict that you will get some sort of reward, or you don't really expect any reward? For example, if I want to start doing a math problem, I might solve it and get a high in dopamine. But before I want to start it, am I actually aware that I get a good feeling when I completed this task and completed this test? The third one is reward learning. Let's imagine I pushed myself to do a math problem, and after I've done it, I'm actually having a good feeling. I have this dopamine rush, and I'm so passionate about what I've just done. But do I actually learn from this experience, or do I just forget about it right away? You've seen many times we go to a swimming pool, and after we're coming out the swimming pool, we're saying, oh, that was so much fun. I'm going to go back next day. I'm going to go every day with my friends, and we'll never go. Has this ever happened to you? Do we learn and do we remember this reward the next time? The fourth component is reward valuation bias. And the question is, do you focus more on the gain, or do you focus more on avoiding the loss? This is always the question, because let's imagine if I'm doing a math problem, I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm really relating to it. I'm really getting the high that I need. And also I'm anticipating to get the reward. I know that I'm going to get a reward. But also, what is the loss? The loss here is that I have to wake up, I have to go get a pen, I have to get a paper, not watch my movie that I wanted to watch, and do the math problem. So now the options for me are, do I more care about the gain, reward that I will get after I'm doing my task, or the loss? And this can tell a lot about my personality and the way I'm approaching my task. The next time you are thinking of doing something, going toward your passion, but you think that you are being lazy, think about this. Are you avoiding the loss, or are you caring much about the gain? And then you can overcome this bias and actually choose what aligns with your passion. And the last one is effort cost, or cognitive effort discounting. This last one is really interesting. What this effort discounting is that the harder things get, we expect more rewards. This is really learned by society, and we could see it a lot. For example, if you are doing a work that is relatively easy and you're getting a small amount of money, you're happy. But as soon as the work gets harder, you're not doing as much work because you need more reward. The reward could be monetary, like money, or it could be psychological, like the dopamine in your brain. This can really imbalance societies. This is unfortunately something that we see in a lot of third world countries, and actually the US and Canada. The wage gap, it's so different between various groups of people. But in a really functional society where motivation isn't highest, like many European countries, actually the wage gap is not as much. A neurosurgeon might make 20% more than a psychologist. We will get a lot more motivation within people, and we get a better functional society where there is less burnout and less people pushing to do things they don't like. So this component is really important to keep in mind, that are we really expecting more money? Are we expecting more reward when we're doing something harder? Or is there any other way we can push ourselves to do those same jobs without expecting a higher compensation for it? Psychologist Carol Dweck, showed mathematicians who were award-winning to kids and told some group of people, some group of kids, that these mathematicians were born genius. But to the other group, they actually explained that these people won so many awards because of how hard they worked. Those kids who learned that hard work had paid off to get more awards had done significantly better in their future math exams. They had much more practice and they could gain better scores. So the message is clear. If you understand that efforts matters more than talent, we can push ourselves to achieve more. So next time you're feeling that you're procrastinating, remember, it's not about being lazy. It's about how we process reward, effort, and expectations. Fix your environment, challenge your biases, believe in practice, and most importantly, be kind to yourself. What motivates you the most? Please tell me in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.